Do you remember the lunches that made school days a little brighter? The ones tucked carefully into brown paper bags or colorful lunch boxes. These were the meals seniors still recall decades later. From peanut butter roll-ups to homemade muffins, each bite a reminder of home. Some were simple, some messy, but all carried flavor, care, and a touch of nostalgia that made lunchtime special. Let's take a delicious trip down memory lane and revisit 30 school lunches seniors remember from their childhood. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Few school lunches are as instantly recognizable or as nostalgically beloved as the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Its charm lies not in complexity, but in simplicity. 2 slices of bread, a hearty spread of peanut butter, and a layer of sweet jelly or jam. Yet behind this seemingly ordinary combination lies a rich history and a story of practicality, ingenuity, and childhood comfort. Peanut butter first gained popularity in the early 20th century as an inexpensive, protein-packed food, while fruit preserves became widely accessible and affordable, making the pairing of these 2 pantry staples a natural choice for families across America. It was a lunch designed to be portable, filling, and resilient, able to withstand a backpack ride, a cafeteria tray, or even a long walk home from school. For many seniors, the peanut butter and jelly sandwich evokes a flood of memories. They remember carefully removing the crusts, spreading peanut butter thick enough to nearly stick the sandwich together, and sometimes struggling with the sticky, gooey jelly that squished out at the edges. Mothers and grandmothers would wrap each sandwich in wax paper or tuck it into a brown paper bag, folding the corners just so, ensuring it would survive until lunchtime. There's a warmth to these memories, a sense of daily care, the small yet enduring ritual of preparing something for someone you loved. In classrooms, these sandwiches became objects of fascination, barter, and camaraderie, traded for a cookie, shared with a friend, or eaten quietly while daydreaming at a lunch table. Even today, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches remain a touchstone of childhood nostalgia. Modern school lunches may now include protein bars, fruit smoothies, or gourmet wraps, but the classic peanut butter and jelly endures because it's more than just a meal. It represents comfort, familiarity, and the quiet magic of simplicity. With each bite, it recalls the laughter, chatter, and carefree days of youth, and reminds us that some of the most enduring flavors in life are those made with love, practicality, and a touch of childhood whimsy. The peanut butter and jelly sandwich is not just a lunch. It is a timeless symbol of home, memory, and resilience. Bologna and cheese sandwiches. The bologna and cheese sandwich is one of those simple school lunch classics that somehow manages to feel both humble and indulgent. Unlike the sweet nostalgia of peanut butter and jelly, this sandwich leans into savory satisfaction, a practical yet comforting choice that carried children through long school days. Bologna, often sliced thin from a modestly priced deli roll or packaged in a vacuum-sealed log, offered protein and a hearty chew, while a slice of cheese, American, cheddar, or occasionally Swiss, added a creamy, tangy contrast. Together, they created a sandwich that was both filling and portable, perfect for a brown paper bag lunch or a wax paper wrap thermos tray. This sandwich emerged in the mid-20th century as inexpensive lunch staples became widely available. For families working on tight budgets, bologna was a reliable option, shelf-stable, versatile, and easy to pair with whatever bread was on hand. Many seniors remember the morning ritual of sandwich preparation, spreading a thin layer of butter or mayonnaise to prevent sogginess, arranging the meat and cheese just so, and carefully folding the sandwich before tucking it into the bag. Some would sneak a sprinkle of salt, a dash of pepper, or a few pickle slices when they could, adding tiny flourishes to an otherwise standard lunch. The bologna and cheese sandwich was more than just sustenance. It was woven into the daily rhythm of school life. Kids traded halves with friends, comparing slices of cheese and joking about who got the thickest piece of bologna. The simplicity of the sandwich left room for imagination and camaraderie. Paired with a crisp apple or a handful of cookies, it became a small comfort in the often noisy, chaotic lunchroom. Today, the bologna and cheese sandwich may seem quaint, replaced in some households by gourmet wraps, protein bars, or Lunchables. Yet its charm endures because it represents more than a meal. It's a snapshot of a particular era, a reflection of frugality, practicality, and care. Every bite carries echoes of childhood laughter, cafeteria chatter, and the tiny, consistent comforts of a school lunch made with love. Even in the face of modern convenience, the humble bologna and cheese sandwich reminds us that sometimes the simplest meals leave the longest-lasting memories. Egg salad sandwiches. Egg salad sandwiches hold a special place in the tapestry of school lunch memories, offering a soft, creamy, and savory alternative to the more common peanut butter and jelly or bologna options. Their appeal lies in both texture and taste. A tender, tangy filling, cradled between two slices of bread that, though plain, becomes the perfect vehicle for a humble, satisfying meal. Egg salad, made by mashing hard-boiled eggs with mayonnaise and a touch of mustard or seasoning, was inexpensive, easy to prepare, and packed with protein, making it a practical choice for families navigating the mid-20th century. It was a lunch that spoke to care and resourcefulness, a small gesture of love from a parent or grandparent to their child heading off to school. Many seniors remember the particular joys and small challenges of egg salad sandwiches. The delicate filling could be messy if not spread carefully, sometimes spilling over the sides and requiring careful bites to avoid a soggy bag or sticky fingers. Mothers and caregivers would often prepare these sandwiches the night before, wrapping them in wax paper or placing them in small Tupperware containers to keep the bread soft and the filling fresh. Some children remember sprinkling a little paprika on top for color, or trading half a sandwich with a friend in exchange for an apple or cookie. The egg salad sandwich became more than just lunch. It was a social currency, a tiny centerpiece of friendship, negotiation, and shared school experiences. Beyond practicality, the sandwich carries emotional resonance. It evokes a rhythm of life that was slower, simpler, and filled with small comforts. The smell of eggs boiling in the kitchen, the quiet morning preparations, and the satisfaction of a midday break where one could sit with classmates and savor a familiar homemade meal. Today, egg salad sandwiches may seem old-fashioned, overshadowed by prepackaged options or trendy wraps. Yet their charm endures, connecting generations through a shared memory of soft bread, creamy filling, and the quiet reassurance of a lunch prepared with care. The egg salad sandwich is a gentle reminder that the simplest foods made thoughtfully can leave a lasting impression, transforming ordinary school days into enduring moments of comfort and nostalgia. Tuna salad on white bread. Tuna salad on white bread is one of those classic school lunches that conjures memories of practicality, care, and the unmistakable aroma of the midday meal. It may not have been flashy or trendy, but it was reliable, filling, and simple. A combination of canned tuna, mayonnaise, perhaps a pinch of salt and pepper, all mashed together into a creamy, savory mixture that could easily be spread onto soft slices of white bread. In many households, especially during the mid-20th century, this sandwich became a staple because it was inexpensive, quick to prepare, and nourishing, offering protein and sustenance for growing children heading off to school. Seniors who recall these lunches often remember both the comfort and the quirks of the tuna salad sandwich. Sometimes the filling was generously slathered, so much so that it threatened to escape the edges of the bread, while at other times it was spread thin, leaving room for imagination, or for trading half with a friend. Mothers and grandmothers often wrapped the sandwiches in wax paper, or placed them in small containers, careful to prevent the inevitable squish from ruining the bread before lunch. A squeeze of lemon, or a sprinkle of celery or onion, added subtle flair when available, though most versions were humble and straightforward. The tuna salad sandwich also carried a certain social dimension in the school cafeteria. Children would trade slices, compare flavors, or savor the creamy filling in quiet satisfaction at their lunch tables. It was a sandwich that taught patience and appreciation, patience in waiting for the filling to be spread just right, and appreciation for the effort behind a simple homemade meal. The smell of tuna, slightly briny yet comforting, became a hallmark of childhood lunches for many. Today, with pre-packaged sandwiches, sushi rolls, and gourmet wraps populating modern lunchrooms, tuna salad on white bread may seem almost quaint. Yet its enduring appeal lies in its simplicity and reliability, and in the memories it evokes. It is a reminder that school lunches were more than just meals. They were small expressions of love, resourcefulness, and care. Even decades later, biting into a tuna salad sandwich carries the quiet, nostalgic warmth of a childhood afternoon, the camaraderie of the cafeteria, and the comforting knowledge that some of the simplest foods leave the longest-lasting memories. Grilled cheese with tomato soup in thermos. There are few school lunch combinations as iconic or as comforting as a grilled cheese sandwich paired with tomato soup, tucked neatly into a thermos. This classic duo represents warmth, simplicity, and a kind of edible reassurance that even in the middle of a busy school day, comfort could be found in a homemade meal. The sandwich itself was straightforward: slices of white or wheat bread, buttered and pressed against golden melted cheese until it became gooey and slightly crisp at the edges. Meanwhile, the tomato soup, smooth, slightly tangy, sometimes dotted with a sprinkle of sugar or a dash of cream, was poured into a thermos that kept it warm until the lunch bell rang. Grilled cheese with tomato soup became a popular school lunch during the mid-20th century, emerging from an era when practicality and frugality guided the kitchen. Bread, cheese, and canned tomatoes were affordable, widely available, and easy to work with, making this combination a staple for families who wanted to send their children off with something both nourishing and satisfying. Many seniors recall the ritual of preparation, carefully buttering the bread so the sandwich would toast evenly, pouring the soup into the thermos while still piping hot, and testing the lid to make sure it wouldn't leak. Some even remember sneaking a slice of extra cheese or adding a pinch of salt to the soup for a little personal touch. The emotional resonance of this lunch is deeply rooted in nostalgia. The first bite of a grilled cheese, warm and chewy, followed by a sip of tangy tomato soup, provided more than nutrition. It was a small, comforting pause in the hectic rhythm of the school day. Children traded sandwiches, shared sips from thermoses, and huddled together over lunch tables, finding connection and warmth not just from the food but from the shared experience. Today, while school cafeterias may offer a wider array of options, microwavable meals, prepackaged snacks, and trendy wraps, the simplicity and charm of grilled cheese with tomato soup endures. It is a reminder that the most memorable lunches are not always the most elaborate, but those made with care, warmth, and a touch of nostalgia. Even decades later, this classic combination evokes the cozy, reassuring magic of a homemade school lunch. Ham and pickle sandwiches. Ham and pickle sandwiches hold a special place in the memories of many seniors who recall the simple yet satisfying lunches of their school days. At first glance, the combination might seem humble, even unassuming. Thin slices of ham layered onto soft bread with crisp, tangy pickles tucked inside. Yet it was precisely this balance of savory and sour, soft and crunchy that made the sandwich so memorable. In an era when convenience was key and budgets were often tight, the ham and pickle sandwich was a practical choice, easy to assemble, durable enough to travel in a lunchbox, and filling enough to sustain a child through a long afternoon of classes and recess. This sandwich gained popularity during the mid-20th century, a time when cold cuts were affordable and easily accessible, and pickles could be purchased in bulk or made at home from a family garden. Many seniors remember the morning ritual of preparing these lunches, carefully arranging the ham to cover the bread evenly, and layering the pickles just so to prevent sogginess. Sometimes a smear of butter or mayonnaise was added, not only for flavor, but to act as a barrier, keeping the bread from absorbing too much moisture from the pickles. The act of wrapping the sandwich in wax paper or slipping it into a paper bag made it a portable meal, one that could endure the jostling of a school backpack or the long walk to the cafeteria. Beyond the practicalities, the ham and pickle sandwich carries a nostalgic resonance. It evokes memories of trading bites with friends, the satisfying crunch of a pickle against soft bread, and the sense of independence that came with enjoying a lunch prepared at home. The flavors were straightforward yet comforting, and the sandwich often became a centerpiece for shared laughter, lunchtime games, and small negotiations over who would trade cookies or fruit. Today, the ham and pickle sandwich may seem old-fashioned, replaced in many lunchrooms by prepackaged meats or gourmet sandwiches. Yet its charm endures because it embodies resourcefulness, care, and simplicity. It reminds us that school lunches were not just about nourishment. They were about connection, creativity, and the small pleasures of childhood. With every bite, the humble ham and pickle sandwich carries the echo of generations past, a quiet testament to frugality, flavor, and fond memories. Bologna fried in butter from home-packed lunch. There is something irresistibly nostalgic about bologna fried in butter, a simple home-packed lunch that many seniors remember with a mix of pride and hunger-induced joy. Unlike a plain cold sandwich, this version transformed humble bologna into something indulgent, slightly crispy at the edges and richly flavored by the golden, sizzling butter in which it was fried. For children returning to school with a sandwich like this tucked carefully into wax paper or a brown paper bag, it felt like a treat, a small luxury amid the everyday rhythm of classes and cafeteria chatter. The scent alone, a warm, savory aroma of fried meat and butter, could brighten a morning before the lunch bell even rang. Bologna fried in butter became popular in mid-century kitchens, where simplicity, frugality, and creativity guided meal preparation. Families on tight budgets found that a modestly priced roll of bologna, cooked at home, could produce a sandwich that felt satisfying and special. Mothers or grandmothers often used just enough butter to lightly crisp the slices without overwhelming them, sometimes adding a sprinkle of black pepper or a dab of mustard. Once fried, the bologna was placed between slices of soft bread, occasionally with a slice of cheese, and then wrapped with care so that it would survive until lunchtime. For many children, it was the perfect balance of effort and reward. The simple act of frying the meat elevated an ordinary lunch into a personal, flavorful experience. The emotional resonance of this sandwich is as vivid as its taste. Seniors recall carefully unwrapping the wax paper at the lunch table, savoring the buttery warmth, and trading bites with friends who were curious or envious of the extra flavor that came from home preparation. Unlike cafeteria fare, which could feel bland or impersonal, this lunch carried the unmistakable mark of care, a tiny gesture of love and attention that made a child feel special. Even today, with school lunches dominated by pre-packaged options and fast food alternatives, bologna fried in butter retains its nostalgic appeal. It represents resourcefulness, the magic of transforming humble ingredients, and the way a little effort can turn something ordinary into something memorable. It is more than a sandwich. It is a bite of childhood, a taste of home, and a reminder that the simplest foods can leave the most lasting impressions. Cheese and crackers snack packs. Cheese and crackers snack packs were a quintessential part of many childhood school lunches. A combination that was simple, satisfying, and endlessly versatile. Unlike the heavier, more filling sandwiches, these snack packs offered a light, portable alternative, perfect for a mid-morning nibble or an after-lunch treat. Often prepared at home with a few slices of cheese and a handful of crackers tucked neatly into a small container or wax paper, they represented both practicality and a touch of culinary creativity. In an era when convenience was valued, but processed, pre-packaged foods had not yet dominated the shelves, these little packs were a clever way to give children a snack that was tasty, nutritious, and easy to handle. The charm of cheese and crackers lay in their simplicity. Soft or firm slices of cheese, American, cheddar, or even Swiss, paired with crisp, buttery crackers, created a satisfying contrast of textures. Seniors often recall the tactile joy of opening their snack packs, the crackers making a gentle snap as they broke them, and the creamy, slightly salty cheese complementing each bite. Some parents added small flourishes, a slice of apple tucked alongside the cheese, a sprinkle of paprika on top, or a few olives when available. These snack packs could be a way to balance nutrition, provide energy for a long afternoon of classes, and allow a child to feel grown up with their own miniature curated lunch. Beyond the practical cheese and crackers, snack packs evoke memories of shared experience and camaraderie. Children traded pieces with friends, compared cheese varieties, or passed around crackers for sampling. The simplicity of the snack created moments of interaction, negotiation, and laughter at the lunch table, making it as much a social tool as a meal component. Today, snack packs may be replaced by pre-packaged cheese sticks, granola bars, or snackable fruit cups. But the appeal of cheese and crackers endures. They are a reminder of a time when lunch was both personal and practical, and when small touches of care could turn a simple snack into a cherished memory. Cheese and crackers snack packs remain a symbol of home-prepared thoughtfulness, resourcefulness, and the quiet joy of childhood lunches shared with friends. Carrot and celery sticks with dip. Carrot and celery sticks with dip may seem like a modest addition to a school lunch, but for many seniors, They evoke vivid memories of freshness, crunch, and the small pleasures of childhood mealtime. In a time before pre-packaged snacks dominated the cafeteria, these simple vegetables were often prepared at home, sliced into manageable sticks, and paired with a dollop of mayonnaise, salad dressing, or a homemade dip. They were a practical choice, inexpensive, nutritious, and easy to pack, yet they offered a satisfying crunch that contrasted with the softness of bread, sandwiches, and other lunch staples. For families mindful of budgets and health, they were a clever way to add variety and balance to an otherwise simple lunch. Many seniors recall the tactile delight of these snacks. The crisp snap of a celery stalk, the earthy sweetness of a carrot, and the cool, creamy dip created a sensory experience that felt both refreshing and indulgent. Parents often took care to cut the vegetables evenly, making them easy to eat with fingers and ensuring that each stick could be dipped without breaking. Sometimes the dip was plain, sometimes seasoned with a pinch of salt or herbs, but it was always a small touch that elevated the ordinary into something special. For children, dipping became almost playful, an interactive part of the meal that could even foster polite competition at the lunch table. Who could make the most perfect bite, who could share without spilling, and who could finish last to make it last longer. And these simple snacks were more than just vegetables. They carried a subtle lesson in patience, mindfulness, and appreciation. They taught children that a well-prepared, humble ingredient could be as satisfying as a cookie or sandwich when presented with care. Today, carrot and celery sticks may share space in lunch boxes with pre-packaged baby carrots, hummus cups, and snackable fruits. But the memory of slicing and dipping by hand remains vivid. They are a testament to home-prepared thoughtfulness, a quiet expression of care, and a reminder that the simplest, crunchiest snacks often leave the longest-lasting impressions. Carrot and celery sticks with dip were not just a side. They were a small, enduring joy of childhood lunches. Apple slices with salt or sugar were a simple yet unforgettable part of many childhood school lunches. A snack that combined freshness, flavor, and a touch of creativity. In an era before pre-packaged fruit cups and individually wrapped snacks, parents often took the time to wash, core, and slice apples, then sprinkle them with a little sugar to sweeten or a pinch of salt to enhance the natural flavor. It was an easy, inexpensive way to provide a fresh, portable snack that could withstand the journey from kitchen counter to cafeteria table without wilting or bruising. For many seniors, these apple slices evoke memories of both nourishment and small daily rituals that made school lunches feel cared for and thoughtfully prepared. The experience of eating apple slices was as much about texture and aroma as taste. The crisp, juicy bite offered a refreshing contrast to sandwiches, cookies, or other softer components of the lunch. Some children favored the subtle sweetness of sugar, which made the fruit taste almost like candy, while others preferred the unexpected tang of salt, which intensified the apple's natural flavors. Parents often experimented with ratios, testing which slices would remain firm and appetizing until lunchtime. Wax paper or small containers kept the slices together, and children learned to enjoy them one at a time, savoring the crunch and the sweet or savory finish. Beyond their practicality, apple slices with salt or sugar carried emotional resonance. They were a small indulgence, a sign that someone at home had thought about taste, texture, and enjoyment. Many seniors recall trading slices with friends, sharing the sweetness or the salty tang, and comparing which types of apples worked best in this simple transformation. This little snack fostered connection, curiosity, and a sense of participation in the rhythms of school life. Today, fresh fruit is often pre-packaged, but the memory of cutting, sprinkling, and savoring apple slices remains vivid. They represent care, creativity, and resourcefulness in the kitchen, showing that even the simplest foods can be transformed into something memorable. Apple slices with salt or sugar were more than just a snack. They were a small daily joy, a tactile and flavorful reminder of home, childhood, and the thoughtful gestures that make ordinary lunches extraordinary. Homemade cookies or brownies. Homemade cookies or brownies were often the highlight of a child's school lunch, a sweet indulgence that brought a little magic to the everyday routine of sandwiches, fruit, and vegetables. Unlike pre-packaged treats, these baked goods carry the unmistakable warmth of home. The aroma of chocolate melting in the oven, the gentle hum of a kitchen mixer, and the careful folding of dough or batter by a parent or grandparent. For many seniors, these simple sweets were more than just a snack. They were a small, personal connection to home, a tangible reminder that someone had taken the time to create something special for them amidst the busy mornings before school. Cookies came in countless forms: soft and chewy chocolate chip, crisp sugar cookies with a light dusting of sugar, oatmeal morsels dotted with raisins or nuts. Brownies were rich, dense, and often slightly gooey in the center, a perfect counterpoint to the crisp textures of a lunchbox sandwich. Both treats were easy to pack, wrapped in wax paper or stored in small containers, ready to be opened at the perfect moment during the school day. Seniors often recall the quiet anticipation of unwrapping these treats, the satisfaction of sharing half with a friend, or the minor negotiation that accompanied trades in the cafeteria. A cookie or brownie could transform a routine lunch into a small celebration, sparking laughter, conversation, and camaraderie among classmates. The simplicity of these baked goods belied their emotional resonance. Cookies and brownies were expressions of care, patience, and love, showing that nourishment was about more than just sustenance. It was about attention, thoughtfulness, and the joy of sharing. Even the smallest gestures, like a sprinkle of sugar on top or a swirl of frosting, made a child feel valued and connected. Today, pre-packaged snacks and store-bought desserts often replace the homemade versions, but the memories remain vivid. Homemade cookies or brownies remind us that the most enduring meals are often those made with care and attention. They were not just sweet treats. They were tiny acts of love, little comforts in the school day, and lasting symbols of home, family, and the simple pleasures of childhood. Every bite carried warmth, nostalgia, and the quiet magic of a home kitchen. Rice Krispies Treats, or homemade variant. Rice Krispies Treats, or their homemade variants, occupy a special corner in the memories of many seniors who recall the sweet, chewy delights tucked into their school lunches. These treats were deceptively simple, made from just a few staple ingredients: crisped rice cereal, melted marshmallows, and a little butter to hold everything together. Yet their simplicity belied their charm. Soft, slightly sticky, and full of airy crunch, Rice Krispies treats were more than a snack. They were a small daily celebration, a burst of sweetness that made lunchtime feel special, even on the most ordinary school days. The origins of these treats can be traced to mid-20th century home kitchens, where creativity and practicality often intersected. Marshmallows had become widely available and affordable. Crisped rice cereal was a pantry staple, and butter added richness and cohesion. Families discovered that combining these ingredients produced a snack that was portable, shelf-stable for a few hours, and endlessly adaptable. Children sometimes helped in the kitchen, learning to fold the cereal into the marshmallow mixture, pressing it into pans, and cutting it into squares or bars. The process itself became part of the enjoyment, instilling a sense of pride in a snack they had helped create. Eating a Rice Krispies treat was a sensory experience. Seniors remember the gentle snap when biting into the square, the soft, chewy texture that melted slightly in the mouth, and the sweet, buttery aroma that lingered long after the last bite. These treats were perfect for trading with friends, sharing a piece, or saving one for the last lunch period, and they often sparked laughter and small negotiations at the lunch table. Even today, with pre-packaged snacks, granola bars, and gourmet sweets filling lunch boxes, Rice Krispies treats hold nostalgic power. They remind us that the simplest combinations of ingredients can create enduring joy. More than just a sweet snack, they represent creativity, care, and the quiet magic of home-prepared treats. For many, a homemade Rice Krispies treat carries memories of kitchen adventures, school day camaraderie, and the simple, enduring pleasures of childhood. It is a reminder that sometimes the most memorable foods are those made with heart, a little imagination, and a touch of sweetness. Jell-O cups. Jell-O cups were a staple of school lunches for generations of children, a simple treat that brought color, sweetness, and a sense of fun to the midday meal. Unlike sandwiches or vegetables, Jell-O offered a playful texture, wobbly, slightly firm, yet yielding easily to a spoon or fork, and a bright spectrum of flavors that immediately drew the eye. For many seniors, these gelatin desserts evoke memories of lunches carefully packed by parents, who would scoop the chilled Jell-O into small cups, sometimes topping them with a dollop of whipped cream or a few fruit pieces to make it extra special. In an era when pre-packaged snacks were not yet ubiquitous, Jell-O was an inexpensive, cheerful, and portable way to add a sweet finish to a simple, practical school lunch. Jell-O became popular in mid-20th century homes because it was easy to prepare, inexpensive, and could be customized in countless ways. Families could choose from an array of flavors, cherry, lime, orange, or grape, and add small surprises like maraschino cherries or cubed canned fruit. Some parents would experiment with layering different flavors or gently folding in miniature marshmallows, creating a playful, visually appealing treat that made lunchtime feel special. Seniors often recall the morning routines of preparing Jell-O, carefully pouring the gelatin into cups, and allowing it to set in the refrigerator so it would arrive at school firm yet wobbly, the texture perfect for a midday snack. Eating Jell-O in the cafeteria carried its own joys and small adventures. Children learned to balance the spoon to avoid spills, competed with friends to see whose cup held the firmest or jiggiest dessert, and often traded bites or flavors. It was more than just a sweet treat. It was a conversation starter, a source of laughter, and a tiny indulgence that brightened an otherwise ordinary lunch. Today, Jell-O cups may seem quaint, replaced by pre-packaged puddings, fruit cups, or snackable desserts, but their nostalgic appeal remains. They symbolize home-prepared care, creativity, and the simple joys of childhood lunches. Every spoonful carries memories of playful textures, vibrant colors, and the small but meaningful gestures of parents who transformed a routine meal into something memorable. Jell-O cups remind us that the simplest treats can leave lasting impressions, bridging generations through shared taste and nostalgia. Pudding cups. Pudding cups were a beloved feature of many childhood school lunches, offering a creamy, sweet finish to a midday meal and a small taste of indulgence in an otherwise practical lunch. They were easy to prepare or purchase, portable, and universally appealing, with flavors like chocolate, vanilla, and butterscotch delighting children with every spoonful. For many seniors, pudding cups evoke memories of carefully packed lunches, where a simple sandwich or fruit was complemented by the smooth, comforting texture of pudding, providing both satisfaction and a sense of treat. In an era before the proliferation of pre-packaged convenience foods, pudding cups represented a small luxury that parents could include without much expense or effort, turning an ordinary lunch into a moment of joy. The charm of pudding cups lay in their simplicity and versatility. Homemade versions were often prepared the night before, chilled until set, and then portioned into small containers or jars for easy transport. Commercially sold cups, which became increasingly common in the mid-20th century, offered convenience, consistency, and a neat, spill-resistant packaging that children could handle with minimal fuss. Seniors often remember the anticipation of opening a pudding cup at the lunch table, the smooth, sweet dessert contrasting with the textures of sandwiches, crackers, or fruit. Some children added a few sprinkles or a small cookie crumble on top, personalizing the treat and creating a mini ritual of enjoyment that made lunchtime feel special. Beyond taste, pudding cups carried a subtle sense of nostalgia and care. They were often the part of the lunch that sparked excitement, the element that children looked forward to, and sometimes shared with friends, creating moments of camaraderie and conversation at the lunch table. The act of including a pudding cup reflected thoughtfulness, turning a simple meal into a comforting and memorable experience. Even today, pudding cups retain their nostalgic charm despite the rise of more elaborate prepackaged snacks and desserts. They serve as a reminder of a time when small, thoughtful touches could transform an ordinary lunch into a cherished memory. Pudding cups were more than a sweet treat. They were an enduring symbol of childhood, care, and the quiet joys of a homemade or thoughtfully packed school lunch. Bridging generations through the simple pleasure of creamy sweetness, hot dog in a bun, cold or heated. The hot dog in a bun, whether eaten cold from a lunchbox or heated at the school cafeteria, has long been a memorable fixture in childhood school lunches. For many seniors, this simple meal evokes a sense of comfort and familiarity. A soft, slightly sweet bun cradling a savory sausage, often accompanied by a squiggle of mustard or ketchup, and perhaps a few pickle slices tucked to the side. It was a lunch that balanced convenience with flavor, offering a filling, portable option that could withstand a morning in a brown paper bag or a thermos designed to keep it warm. In an era before elaborate lunch boxes or pre-packaged convenience meals, the hot dog in a bun represented both practicality and indulgence, a way to give children a hearty, satisfying meal without demanding hours of preparation. Hot dogs became popular in American school lunches during the mid-20th century, thanks to their affordability, long shelf life, and widespread availability. Families appreciated that a single hot dog could feed a child and provide energy for a busy day of classes and playground activity. Some households added a little flair, slicing the hot dog to fit the bun more neatly, lightly buttering the bun, or including a side of sliced onions or relish. Whether eaten cold with the slight firmness of a lunchbox-carrying sausage, or heated to a warm, juicy comfort, the hot dog offered a small but memorable taste of home. Beyond practicality, the hot dog in a bun carried emotional resonance. It was often associated with special treats, the occasional ketchup smiley on top, the pride in a homemade touch, or the excitement of opening a lunch that felt a little more grown up than the everyday sandwich. Children traded halves with friends, compared condiments, or simply relished the ease of eating a handheld, flavorful meal. Today, hot dogs may compete with a wide array of modern lunch options, gourmet wraps, protein bars, and prepackaged snacks. But the nostalgia remains. The hot dog in a bun reminds us that school lunches were not only about nutrition, they were about comfort, convenience, and the simple pleasures of childhood. Whether cold or warmed, every bite carries memories of camaraderie, satisfaction, and the timeless joy of a familiar savory treat. Deviled egg sandwiches. Deviled egg sandwiches were a clever, flavorful twist on a simple school lunch, transforming the humble hard-boiled egg into a creamy, tangy filling that brought a touch of sophistication to the midday meal. For many seniors, these sandwiches evoke memories of a home-packed lunch that felt special, a step above the everyday peanut butter or bologna sandwiches, yet still accessible and practical. The filling was typically made by mashing hard-boiled eggs with mayonnaise, a hint of mustard, and sometimes a sprinkle of paprika or chopped pickle, creating a smooth, savory spread that could be generously layered between slices of soft bread. The result was a sandwich that was both satisfying and portable, perfect for the brown paper bag or small lunchbox of a mid-20th century school child. The deviled egg sandwich emerged from the resourcefulness and creativity of home kitchens. Eggs were inexpensive, widely available, and protein-rich, making them a practical choice for families looking to provide nourishment without straining the budget. Mothers and grandmothers quickly discovered that by transforming simple boiled eggs into a creamy filling, they could offer variety, flavor, and a sense of indulgence without much additional effort. Preparing the filling was often a small, daily ritual, mashing the eggs to just the right consistency, stirring in mayonnaise for creaminess, balancing the tang of mustard, and occasionally adding a pinch of paprika or chives for color and taste. Once spread between bread, the sandwiches were carefully wrapped in wax paper or stored in containers to preserve freshness until lunchtime. Eating a deviled egg sandwich was a sensory delight, with its rich, creamy texture contrasting with the soft, yielding bread. Many seniors recall the gentle aroma of eggs and mayonnaise, the tang of mustard, and the occasional crunch from finely chopped pickle or celery folded into the filling. These sandwiches were often shared with friends, compared in flavor, or traded during lunch breaks, fostering camaraderie and playful social interaction. Today, deviled egg sandwiches may seem unusual compared to modern convenience foods, but their nostalgic charm remains. They exemplify the creativity, care, and resourcefulness of home-cooked school lunches. More than just a sandwich, the deviled egg variety is a reminder that even modest ingredients, thoughtfully prepared, can create lasting memories, nourishing both body and spirit, and connecting generations through the simple pleasures of flavor and homemade care. Cottage cheese with fruit. Cottage cheese with fruit was a simple yet surprisingly satisfying addition to many childhood school lunches, offering a combination of protein, freshness, and natural sweetness that balanced heavier staples like sandwiches or fried snacks. For many seniors, this snack conjures memories of a home-packed lunch that felt both wholesome and carefully considered. Creamy, slightly tangy cottage cheese paired with fruit, often canned peaches, pineapple chunks, or sliced fresh apples, created a refreshing, soft, textured contrast that made lunchtime feel a little brighter. In an era when pre-packaged snacks were less prevalent, this pairing provided a nourishing, portable option that could be prepared quickly, yet offered a sense of care and attention. Cottage cheese itself became a popular choice in mid-20th century households because it was affordable, high in protein, and versatile. Families discovered that mixing it with fruit added flavor, sweetness, and visual appeal, transforming a plain dairy product into a more inviting treat. Many seniors remember the morning routine of scooping cottage cheese into a small container, adding slices of fruit, and sometimes sprinkling a little sugar or a dash of cinnamon on top. The resulting snack was creamy, cool, and slightly tangy, with bursts of fruity sweetness that balanced the natural richness of the cheese. Parents often wrapped it carefully or used small sealable containers to ensure that the mixture stayed fresh until lunchtime. Beyond practicality, cottage cheese with fruit carried subtle, emotional resonance. It represented attention to nutrition, thoughtfulness in preparation, and a desire to provide a balanced, enjoyable lunch. Children often compared combinations of fruit, traded spoonfuls, or experimented with mixing flavors themselves, making the snack both interactive and social. Its simplicity allowed it to stand out, teaching an appreciation for textures, natural sweetness, and subtle flavors. Today, with yogurt cups, pre-packaged fruit snacks, and protein bars filling lunchboxes, cottage cheese with fruit may seem old-fashioned, yet its appeal remains. It is a reminder that home-prepared foods, even the simplest ones, can be nourishing, flavorful, and memorable. Cottage cheese with fruit embodies care, creativity, and the quiet joys of childhood lunches, offering a lasting impression that combines health, taste, and the comforting knowledge of a thoughtfully packed meal from home. Potato chips or homemade potato crisps. Potato chips, or their homemade counterpart, potato crisps, were a crunchy, salty highlight of many childhood school lunches, providing a satisfying contrast to softer sandwiches, fruit, and other lunch staples. For seniors who grew up in the mid-20th century, these snacks evoke memories of the anticipation and delight that accompanied the simple pleasure of tearing open a bag or unwrapping a small packet to reveal thin, golden slices of potato, fried to crisp perfection. When prepared at home, potato crisps offered a slightly different charm. The aroma of sizzling potatoes in oil, the careful sprinkling of salt, and the satisfaction of knowing that a parent had taken the time to transform humble ingredients into a delicious treat. Potato chips became widely popular in American households because they were affordable, easy to pack, and provided an instantly gratifying crunch. Homemade potato crisps, meanwhile, reflected a family's resourcefulness and care, often made from leftover potatoes, sliced thin, fried in a modest amount of oil or butter, and cooled to a crisp before being wrapped for lunch. Many seniors remember helping in the kitchen, slicing the potatoes evenly, watching them curl and brown in the pan, and sprinkling just the right amount of salt to enhance the flavor. The result was a snack that was both comforting and indulgent, perfectly portable and satisfying to eat between classes. Beyond their practicality, potato chips and homemade crisps carried a strong emotional resonance. They were often the first snack opened at the lunch table, the familiar crackle and salty aroma drawing attention and delight. Children traded flavors or counted chips in playful competitions, adding a social dimension to their enjoyment. Even the simplest crisp could spark conversation and camaraderie, making it more than just a snack. It was a shared experience. Today, potato chips remain a ubiquitous snack, while homemade crisps are less common in lunchboxes, yet both hold enduring nostalgic appeal. They represent the joy of simple pleasures, the creativity of home kitchens, and the excitement of small indulgences in everyday life. Potato chips and homemade potato crisps remind us that a snack need not be elaborate to be memorable, proving that crunchy, salty simplicity can leave a lasting impression on childhood lunches. Canned fruit cocktail. Canned fruit cocktail was a staple in many childhood school lunches, offering a sweet, colorful, and convenient complement to sandwiches, chips, and other lunch staples. For seniors who grew up in the mid-20th century, it evokes memories of a small metal or glass container filled with a medley of fruit: peaches, pears, grapes, pineapple, and cherries, suspended in a light syrup or juice. It was a practical snack, easy to pack, non-perishable for several hours, and guaranteed to provide a touch of sweetness and vitamins in an era when fresh fruit might not always be available. The canned fruit cocktail carried a certain charm, combining simplicity with a sense of indulgence, making it a cheerful addition to the everyday school lunch. The preparation was minimal, but thoughtful. Parents often packed the opened container in a small lunchbox or wrapped it in wax paper to prevent spills. Sometimes they would drain the syrup or juice or add a few extra touches such as a sprinkle of sugar or a dash of cinnamon to enhance the flavor. Many seniors recall opening the can with anticipation, the glossy fruit shining in the light, the sweet aroma wafting up as the lid came off. Eating the fruit cocktail was a sensory pleasure with a variety of textures, from the firm bite of grapes to the soft sweetness of peaches, and a balance of flavors that made each spoonful a small delight. Beyond taste, canned fruit cocktail offered a subtle sense of care and resourcefulness. It represented an effort to provide a nutritious, enjoyable snack without fuss or expense, embodying the practical creativity of home-packed lunches. Children often shared spoonfuls with friends, compared which fruits were their favorites, or saved certain pieces for last, adding a small social and playful element to lunchtime. Today, fresh fruit, pre-packaged fruit cups, and smoothies often replace canned options. Yet canned fruit cocktail remains a nostalgic reminder of mid-century childhood lunches. It embodies convenience, care, and the quiet joy of a simple, colorful snack. More than just fruit and syrup, it represents thoughtfulness, resourcefulness, and the enduring pleasures of home-prepared meals that brought sweetness to the school day, leaving lasting impressions on generations of children. Leftover casserole in thermos. Leftover casserole in a thermos was a practical yet surprisingly comforting school lunch for many children, a way to bring the warmth and familiarity of home into the bustling environment of a classroom or cafeteria. For seniors who grew up in the mid-20th century, these lunches evoke vivid memories of mornings spent carefully spooning last night's baked dish, whether a cheesy macaroni casserole, a layered chicken and rice dish, or a simple potato and vegetable bake, into a thermos that would keep it warm until lunchtime. The idea of a thermos lunch may seem quaint today, but for families balancing busy schedules, limited budgets, and the need to provide nourishing meals, it was a clever and efficient solution. Casseroles were the ultimate frugal dish, combining inexpensive ingredients such as pasta, rice, ground meat, vegetables, and a creamy or tomato-based sauce. By repurposing leftovers into a portable meal, parents were able to stretch ingredients, reduce waste, and ensure that their children had something hearty and filling to eat. Many seniors recall the morning ritual of packing the thermos, carefully scooping a portion of casserole, sealing it tightly to prevent leaks, and often wrapping the container in a towel or placing it in a bag to maintain warmth. Sometimes a slice of bread or a sprinkle of cheese would accompany the casserole, adding an extra layer of comfort and flavor. Eating a casserole from a thermos carried its own sense of anticipation and delight. Unlike cold sandwiches or prepackaged snacks, the warm, flavorful mixture offered the satisfaction of a home-cooked meal in the middle of the school day. The aroma, the texture, and the rich, savory taste reminded children of family dinners, creating a comforting bridge between home and school. Sharing bites with friends, trading extra spoonfuls, or simply savoring the familiar flavors made the meal memorable beyond its practicality. Today, casseroles may not travel in thermoses as often, replaced by microwavable meals and pre-packaged options, but the memory endures. Leftover casserole in a thermos embodies frugality, creativity, and care. A reminder that even the most utilitarian meals can be comforting, satisfying, and enduringly memorable. It stands as a testament to home-prepared love, resourcefulness, and the simple joys of childhood lunches that carried warmth, flavor, and family connection. Macaroni and cheese, cold or reheated. Macaroni and cheese, whether enjoyed cold from a lunchbox or reheated in a school cafeteria, has long been a beloved staple in childhood school lunches. For many seniors, it evokes memories of creamy, cheesy comfort tucked into a container, offering both nourishment and a familiar taste of home. Its appeal lay in the perfect balance of simplicity and satisfaction. Tender pasta enveloped in a rich, cheesy sauce that could be eaten with a spoon or fork, making it easy to pack and consume in the midst of a busy school day. In an era when convenience foods were limited, macaroni and cheese provided a filling, inexpensive, and universally appealing option that could please even the pickiest eaters. Macaroni and cheese was a product of practicality and frugality in mid-20th century kitchens. Families relied on affordable pantry staples such as elbow macaroni, butter, milk, and shredded or processed cheese to create a dish that could feed a crowd with minimal expense. Leftover portions from dinner were often packed for lunch the next day, either cold in a container or wrapped for a quick reheat in a cafeteria or thermos. Many seniors recall the anticipation of opening their lunch and seeing the warm, golden noodles, or the slightly firm, flavorful cold version that had chilled overnight. Both versions had their charms. The reheated macaroni offered gooey indulgence, while the cold version had a firmer texture that was refreshing and portable. Beyond practicality, macaroni and cheese carried emotional resonance. It was a taste of home, a comforting connection to family kitchens, and a small daily indulgence amid the structure of school life. Children often shared spoonfuls with friends, compared creamy versus slightly chilled textures, or debated the merits of adding extra cheese or a dash of pepper. The dish was both a treat and a reassurance, a reliable, flavorful option that bridged home and school. Today, with the availability of pre-packaged meals, boxed mac and cheese, and gourmet versions, the humble homemade school lunch version remains a nostalgic memory. Macaroni and cheese, cold or reheated, represents comfort, care, and resourcefulness. A simple dish that left a lasting impression on generations of children, proving that even the most straightforward meals can be memorable, satisfying, and full of warmth. Cornbread and butter. Cornbread and butter was a simple yet memorable component of many childhood school lunches, particularly in households rooted in Southern or rural traditions. For seniors, this humble pairing evokes the warmth of home kitchens, the aroma of freshly baked cornbread lingering in the air, and the quiet comfort of a midday meal that felt both filling and nurturing. Cornbread, slightly sweet and tender with a golden crust, paired with a pat of creamy butter, offered a satisfying texture and flavor that complemented sandwiches, fruits, or a hearty soup. It was portable, easy to prepare in advance, and could be wrapped in wax paper or placed in a lunchbox, making it a practical choice for parents balancing time, nutrition, and economy. The origins of cornbread in school lunches trace back to frugality, ingenuity, and regional culinary traditions. Cornmeal was inexpensive and readily available, and combining it with a few pantry staples, milk, eggs, a bit of sugar, and a touch of fat, produced a loaf or pan of bread that could feed a family efficiently. Butter added richness, moisture, and a touch of indulgence, transforming simple cornbread into a comforting treat. Many seniors recall the mornings when parents sliced squares or wedges, carefully wrapping them to ensure they stayed fresh until lunchtime. In some households, a little honey or jam might accompany the butter, adding a hint of sweetness and variety. Eating cornbread with butter at school carried both practical and emotional significance. The soft, crumbly texture contrasted beautifully with the firmness of a sandwich or the crispness of a side snack, and the buttery flavor was both satisfying and comforting. Children often traded pieces with friends, shared bites, or savored each mouthful slowly, enjoying the familiar taste of home. Beyond its practicality, the pairing symbolized care, attention, and the simple joys of childhood, offering a tactile and flavorful reminder of family kitchens and shared meals. Today, cornbread may not appear as often in lunch boxes, replaced by packaged snacks or bread varieties, yet it holds enduring nostalgic appeal. Cornbread and butter represents resourcefulness, warmth, and the quiet pleasure of home-prepared foods. It reminds us that even the simplest ingredients, thoughtfully combined, can create lasting memories, connecting generations through taste, texture, and the comforting flavors of a childhood lunch. Pancakes or waffles, packed in wax paper. Pancakes or waffles, carefully packed in wax paper for a school lunch, were a small but treasured indulgence for many children. For seniors, the memory of these portable treats evokes the aroma of a warm breakfast lingering on cool mornings and the delight of unwrapping a familiar, comforting snack midway through a busy school day. Soft, slightly sweet, and perfectly sized for little hands, pancakes and waffles offered both sustenance and joy. Wrapped individually in wax paper, they stayed fresh and intact, ready to be eaten cold or warmed slightly in a cafeteria toaster or thermos if available, making them a practical, versatile choice for parents who wanted to provide both nutrition and a touch of indulgence. The preparation of these lunchbox treasures often began the night before, with parents or grandparents flipping golden pancakes or pressing waffles on a stovetop griddle. Leftovers from breakfast could be repurposed for lunch, demonstrating both practicality and frugality. Sometimes a light spread of butter, honey, or jam was added, tucked between layers or smeared on top, transforming a simple pancake or waffle into a miniature, flavorful meal. Children quickly learned the delicate art of packing and unwrapping, ensuring that their breakfast treat arrived intact, ready to be enjoyed during a midday break. Beyond practicality, pancakes and waffles in wax paper carried emotional resonance. They were a tangible reminder of home, warmth, and care, offering comfort amid the structured environment of the school day. Many seniors recall the anticipation of opening the wax paper, the soft texture yielding easily to a fork or fingers, the subtle sweetness mingling with the slight chewiness of the batter. These treats were often shared among friends, compared for fluffiness or taste, and sometimes saved to savor slowly. adding a social and playful element to the lunch routine. Today, with the prevalence of packaged snacks, frozen breakfast bars, and pre-prepared items, pancakes and waffles in wax paper may seem quaint, yet their nostalgic appeal endures. They represent creativity, thoughtfulness, and the enduring joy of home-prepared foods. More than just breakfast repurposed for lunch, they exemplify the small gestures that make childhood memorable, turning ordinary meals into moments of comfort, delight, and connection. Mini meat pies or hand pies? Mini meat pies or hand pies were a cherished part of many childhood school lunches, offering a portable, flavorful, and satisfying meal that combined practicality with a sense of indulgence. For seniors who remember these treats, the memory is often tied to the tactile delight of holding a warm, golden brown pastry filled with seasoned meat, vegetables, and sometimes a hint of gravy or cheese. These pies were easy to pack, could be eaten without utensils, and provided a hearty bite that felt substantial compared to simpler sandwiches or snack foods. The combination of flaky crust and savory filling made each hand pie a miniature meal, bridging the gap between practicality and pleasure in a school lunch. The origins of mini meat pies in home-packed lunches are rooted in creativity and frugality. Families could stretch inexpensive ingredients, ground beef, chicken, or pork, combined with onions, potatoes, or other vegetables, by encasing them in a simple pastry dough, transforming leftovers or pantry staples into a handheld delight. Seniors often recall watching a parent or grandparent carefully roll out dough, spoon in the filling, and crimp the edges to create tidy little pockets, each one uniform and portable. Some households added small touches like a brush of egg wash for golden color, or a sprinkle of herbs for extra flavor, turning a practical meal into something visually and gastronomically appealing. Eating a mini meat pie at school carried both sensory and social enjoyment. The flaky crust gave way to a warm, savory filling, the aroma and taste a comforting reminder of home. Children often compared fillings, traded pie with friends, or saved a few bites for last, creating small rituals around an already special snack. The hand pie also provided a sense of independence. No utensils were required, and it could be enjoyed on the go, whether during recess, in the classroom, or at the lunch table. Today, hand pies have evolved into trendy bakery treats, frozen convenience items, or gourmet versions. But the nostalgic appeal of home-packed mini meat pies endures. They represent resourcefulness, care, and the creativity of home kitchens, showing that even a modest combination of ingredients, thoughtfully prepared, can create lasting memories. Mini meat pies were more than a lunch. They were portable comfort, a taste of home, and a testament to the ingenuity and love behind every thoughtfully prepared school meal. Milk or chocolate milk in carton. Milk, or its sweet companion chocolate milk, was a staple of many childhood school lunches, offering both nutrition and a comforting ritual that anchored the midday meal. For seniors, the memory of a small carton of cold milk evokes mornings spent carefully packing lunch boxes, the gentle shake to mix chocolate powder, and the quiet anticipation of opening the carton at the lunch table. It was a simple pleasure, a drink that could be enjoyed on its own or paired with sandwiches, cookies, or other lunch components, providing protein, calcium, and a touch of sweetness that made school lunches feel complete. The presence of milk in school lunches also reflected a broader emphasis on nutrition in mid-20th century households and schools. Families were increasingly aware of the importance of calcium and vitamins for growing children, and milk was an affordable, accessible way to provide these nutrients. Chocolate milk, in particular, offered a playful twist, turning a simple beverage into a treat that many children looked forward to. Seniors often recall the subtle rituals of lunch, shaking the carton to mix the chocolate evenly, carefully peeling back the foil or paper seal, and savoring the cool, creamy liquid with each sip. Beyond nutrition, milk and chocolate milk carried emotional resonance and social connection. It was often the first item consumed, a refreshing start to lunch that set the tone for the rest of the meal. Children would compare brands, flavors, and temperatures, sometimes trading sips or discussing which version was their favorite. Milk cartons also became small markers of routine, a dependable element of the school day that connected children to home, even when they were far from it. Today, milk remains a common choice in cafeterias and lunchboxes, but chocolate milk and single-serving cartons carry a particular nostalgia. They remind us of a time when simple, thoughtful elements could make a lunch memorable. Milk or chocolate milk in a carton was more than just a beverage. It was comfort, care, and a small but meaningful connection to home. Every sip offered nourishment for the body and reassurance for the spirit, turning an ordinary school lunch into a moment of familiarity, joy, and enduring memory. Popcorn or pretzels? Popcorn or pretzels were classic staples of many childhood school lunches, offering a crunchy, salty, and satisfying snack that brought both comfort and fun to the midday meal. For seniors, these simple treats evoke memories of rummaging through a brown paper bag or small lunchbox to find a familiar, crispy snack nestled beside sandwiches, fruit, or a sweet treat. Popcorn, with its airy texture and slightly nutty flavor, and pretzels, with their firm bite and subtle saltiness, provided a contrast to softer or sweeter lunch items, adding variety, texture, and a small element of surprise to the day. They were portable, inexpensive, and nearly mess-free, making them practical choices for parents who wanted to include a snack that would please children while withstanding the rigors of the school day. The appeal of popcorn and pretzels in school lunches lay in their simplicity and versatility. Popcorn could be made at home on the stovetop or in a small popcorn popper, lightly salted or buttered to taste, and packed in wax paper or a small bag for easy transport. Pretzels, whether soft-baked or hard, were convenient and ready to eat, providing a quick, satisfying crunch without any preparation. Many seniors recall the tactile pleasure of popping popcorn kernels into their mouths, listening to the crisp snap of a pretzel, or sharing a small handful with friends at the lunch table. These snacks often became a point of camaraderie, with children trading handfuls, comparing flavors, or creating small games around the crisp morsels. Beyond practicality, popcorn and pretzels carried emotional resonance. They represented care, thoughtfulness, and an understanding of the little joys that could brighten a school day. Even the simplest snack could turn an ordinary lunch into a memorable moment, offering both flavor and social interaction. Today, with pre-packaged chips, granola bars, and a wide array of convenient snacks, popcorn and pretzels may seem ordinary, but their nostalgic appeal remains strong. They embody frugality, creativity, and the quiet pleasures of home-prepared or thoughtfully chosen treats. Popcorn or pretzels were more than crunchy snacks. They were a small taste of fun, connection, and the simple joys that made school lunches memorable for generations of children. Peanut butter roll-ups, tortilla, or bread. Peanut butter roll-ups, whether made with a soft tortilla or a slice of bread, were a creative and beloved addition to many childhood school lunches. For seniors, these treats evoke memories of mornings spent watching a parent or grandparent carefully spreading peanut butter over a flat surface, sometimes adding a thin layer of jelly or honey, and then rolling it up into a neat, portable snack. The result was a simple, handheld delight that combined convenience, flavor, and nutrition, perfect for the brown paper bag or lunchbox. Unlike a traditional sandwich, the roll-up offered a playful twist, easy to eat on the go, with every bite revealing the smooth, nutty richness of peanut butter, sometimes accented by the sweet tang of jam or the delicate sweetness of honey. The appeal of peanut butter roll-ups lay in their practicality and adaptability. Tortillas provided a flexible, mess-resistant alternative to bread, allowing for creative variations such as adding sliced bananas, raisins, or even a dusting of cinnamon to enhance flavor. Bread-based roll-ups were equally versatile, providing a familiar canvas for peanut butter and offering a satisfying soft chew. For many families, these roll-ups were an efficient way to use ingredients on hand, stretch portions, and prepare a snack that was both filling and appealing to children. Seniors often remember the tactile satisfaction of rolling the ingredients tightly, cutting the roll into manageable pieces, and neatly packing them for lunch. A small ritual that made the snack feel thoughtful and special. Beyond practicality, peanut butter roll-ups carried emotional resonance. They represented care, creativity, and the comfort of a familiar flavor in the midst of the school day. Children often shared roll-ups with friends, traded slices, or experimented with flavor combinations, making lunchtime interactive and social. Today, with pre-packaged snack rolls and convenience foods dominating lunch boxes, peanut butter roll-ups retain their nostalgic charm. They are a reminder that simple ingredients, thoughtfully prepared, can create lasting memories. Peanut butter roll-ups, whether made with tortilla or bread, were more than a snack. They embodied warmth, resourcefulness, and the small but meaningful joys of a homemade school lunch, connecting generations through taste, texture, and a touch of creativity. Homemade muffins. Homemade muffins were a beloved part of many childhood school lunches, offering a sweet, comforting, and portable treat that brought a touch of home to the midday meal. For seniors, the memory of these muffins evokes the aroma of freshly baked goods filling the kitchen in the early morning, the warmth of a parent or grandparent carefully wrapping each one, and the anticipation of unwrapping the soft, tender bread at lunchtime. Flavored with staples like blueberries, bananas, or chocolate chips, muffins were both nourishing and indulgent, providing a satisfying balance between sweetness and substance. Their portability made them ideal for lunchboxes, and their size made them easy to eat with little mess, perfect for a busy school day. The preparation of homemade muffins reflected both practicality and creativity. Families relied on pantry staples such as flour, sugar, eggs, and butter, often adding fruit, nuts, or spices to enhance flavor and nutrition. Many seniors recall helping in the kitchen, stirring the batter, sprinkling sugar on top, or sneaking a small taste before baking. Baking muffins in batches meant there would often be leftovers for the next day's lunchbox, offering an efficient way to stretch ingredients while ensuring children had something both delicious and filling to enjoy at school. The golden tops, tender crumb, and occasional burst of fruit or chocolate created a sensory delight that made the simple act of eating a muffin feel special. Beyond taste and practicality, homemade muffins carried emotional resonance. They represented care, effort, and the comforting touch of home in a structured school environment. Children often shared muffins with friends, compared flavors, or saved certain bites for last, making lunchtime a social and interactive experience. Muffins also offered a sense of reassurance, a small daily reminder that someone at home had prepared a thoughtful treat with love. Today, while prepackaged muffins and bakery treats are readily available, the nostalgic appeal of homemade muffins endures. They embody creativity, resourcefulness, and the quiet pleasures of childhood lunches. More than just a sweet bread, homemade muffins were a symbol of care, warmth, and the enduring joy of thoughtfully prepared food, leaving lasting memories of comfort and flavor that span generations. Sloppy Joe sandwiches. Sloppy Joe sandwiches were a messy but irresistible highlight of many childhood school lunches, offering a rich, savory, and slightly sweet flavor that brought both comfort and excitement to the midday meal. For seniors, these sandwiches conjure memories of brown paper bags carefully packed with a soft bun enveloping a generous portion of seasoned ground beef mixed with tomato sauce, onions, and a hint of sugar or ketchup. The allure of the Sloppy Joe lay in its hearty, saucy filling that demanded a napkin or three, yet promised a satisfying, flavor-packed bite that made lunch feel like a treat rather than just a necessity. Whether served cold from a home-packed lunch or reheated at school, the sandwich was both practical and indulgent, offering a filling meal that could be eaten with hands and appreciated by nearly every child. The Sloppy Joe has roots in mid-20th century American home kitchens, where families sought frugal, easy-to-make meals that could stretch ingredients and feed hungry children. Ground beef was affordable, and combining it with a tomato-based sauce allowed parents to make a small amount go a long way. Many households prepared a large batch for dinner, saving leftovers to fill sandwich buns the next day. Seniors often recall the preparation process, the smell of onions sautéing in a skillet, the tangy aroma of the sauce simmering, and the excitement of assembling sandwiches while the filling was still warm. Sometimes a slice of cheese or a few pickles were added for variety, turning a simple meal into a memorable treat. Beyond practicality, Sloppy Joe sandwiches carried emotional resonance. They represented comfort, home-cooked care, and a small indulgence in an otherwise routine school day. Children often traded halves with friends, compared how saucy or sweet their sandwiches were, or relished the tactile experience of eating a filling that sometimes dripped down their fingers. The messy nature of the meal became part of its charm, creating playful memories and camaraderie around lunchtime. Today, while pre-packaged options and convenience foods are common, the nostalgic appeal of the homemade Sloppy Joe endures. It embodies creativity, frugality, and the joy of simple, flavorful comfort food. Sloppy Joe sandwiches were more than just lunch. They were a beloved combination of taste, memory, and home-cooked care, leaving a lasting impression on generations of children. Thanks for taking this nostalgic trip with us through 30 school lunches seniors remember from their childhood. From peanut butter roll-ups to homemade muffins, each meal tells a story of care, creativity, and the simple joys of home-packed lunches. Don't forget to like and share this video. Subscribe for more heartwarming food stories and let us know in the comments which school lunch brings back your fondest memories.